Hello everyone, welcome to this fourth part of the course. So we'll continue with the elements that will be a part of this scene. We can create some tacos, a dish with guacamole, alright? So we'll start by creating a plane. We're going to lower the segments to around 6. And for now we'll leave these at 1. We'll add the bend deformer. Remember that the area of influence is indicated by this cube. First of all, we're going to rotate this effect 90 degrees counterclockwise, and now we'll start adjusting the size of this cube, this area of influence. For example, more or less like this. Remember that we can modify the strength from here, but before this, it's important to place the deformer bend inside the plane so we can keep the hierarchy properly. So now we can start creating the shape. We're going to make this longer, like this. And we can also, from here, place some more segments. Notice that the more segments it has, more circular the shape will be. In this case, more or less with around 6 and 7, it would be enough. Okay? Right click and current state to object. We delete this and now we keep the modified plane. Alright? And now we can activate this option in order to set the anchor point in a more adequate zone. Okay, now what we could also do is use a tag on this plane. So we go to simulate, cloth surface. And now we place the plane inside cloth surface. Now in thickness, as you see, we can set the thickness we want. Since it will be a tortilla, it won't be this thick, just around 7 will be fine. Okay, before doing this, also notice that when we do the cloth surface, it also subdivides it, so we can leave it on 0 or raise it. In this case, since we're working in low poly, we'll leave it on 0. And now we'll make the same. Right click, current state to object. And now we can delete this. We have the plane here. We take this out. And now we work with this plane, okay? Activate the points. And let's move all these points. We can use the T key slightly like this. We can select the plane and using Alt, place it into a subdivision surface. Remember, we can also set it to 1 and 1 so it doesn't have too many divisions. We take this. And now, as I was saying, we'll go for a moment to turn this axis here more or less, and now we make this narrower. Like this. So it keeps the size. Perfect. All right, this would be what we get here. Remember, we can leave it like this or transform it. We'll leave it like this for now. We'll create a floor with a disk. We create the disk, we scale it up. This will be the surface we'll also paint. Let's scale it like this, lower it a bit. And this way we're already seeing the shape of everything a bit. Let's rotate it this. There it is, okay? Perfect. This taco, this element, will fill it with meat chunks. Also cheese on top, some stripes like bacon or onion, okay? So in order to do the food chunks, we'll just start from a cube. Something pretty easy. We'll set it to 2 segments each side, and using Alt, we'll place it inside a subdivision surface. And then we'll get into the attribute manager and set it to 1 and 1, so it stays this way. And that's it. We won't be doing anything else with this. So right click, current state to object, delete this, and we keep the mid chunk. And this is what will be inside of this element. So we scale down each chunk. And now what we'll have to do is fill with this element all this surface. So let's fast forward through all these and we'll continue. Remember that you don't need to do all this, with just doing 1 copy is enough. While we have all the meat chunks placed, we can select them all, right-click, and place them inside an objects group. We name it however we like, and it's ready. Another thing before finishing with this model would be to give it a more adequate shape. For this, we'll go to this option here and we'll mark the taper option. We place it, as always, looking for the right orientation here, and we'll make this larger, longer, like this, wider, more or less like this. Okay? We place the taper inside this model, so let's look for it. If I'm not mistaken, it should be around here. Here it is. So we'll take the taper and we'll place it in here. And now it works quite similar to bend. We have strength, which if we raise it, check out the effect we get. Okay, so we need it to have this shape. Besides, we can get the main model. Let's rotate this orientation here, like this. With this selected, like this a bit. Uncheck it. And now, as I'm saying, we can finish handling these in order to put the cherry on top. And a bit more wide. We can make the taper invisible with this button here, so it doesn't get in the way. And while it's just about, as I'm saying, finish adjusting some things. We can also grab the top points and finish opening this zone. Make sure this box is unchecked. We'll get these top points. And this, as I was saying, we'll finish opening it and managing it like this. Okay, we have this here, so we'll create the cheese now. And to create the cheese, there are 2 ways. We can create a cube, make it thinner, and place it around here, or making it through a plane. We're trying to use as few polygons as possible, so we're looking for a technique in which, using alpha channels, we can draw the texture. Okay? In order to do this, using an alpha channel so the image has transparency and thus be able to learn more things, we'll make this part of the cheese with a plane instead of a regular polygon. So we make a plane, set it to 1 and 1, and we'll place it up here, okay, above it. We'll make it larger, and we adjust it. You'll now see the difference between this and the other way. This way, using a plane, we would simply make this plane like this, though we could place some segments in this axis and these other axes like this, okay, about 3 and 5. And this is what we could slightly modify at the end. Let's set it to 7 or so, like this. We'll make it editable and we'll select the points. And now we just modify the shape. We can lower this here. But as you see, it's quickly done. The other way would take more time. If we had used a cube instead. Okay. Perfect. All right, so we would have this, and you could think, well, there's some more work missing. Okay, the missing work, we would do it on the texture. We would paint these and make an alpha of what we painted so it has transparency. So here it would be transparent, and some borders here more precise than if we had done it using a cube, in which case we would have to make much more polygons, okay? As I'm saying, we'll leave the cheese like this, and you'll later see how we can work on it, okay? Good, so let's save this scene and continue with the guacamole dish. In order to do this, we can do it other way, like for example using a spline. Let's switch to the front view, for example, and taking as a reference the y-axis, we'll draw half dish, okay? So we grab the spline pen tool and just click here, again here, and the last here, in the middle, okay? Like this. Now we'll place this inside a property. So we'll go to this option and we'll select lathe. Place the spline inside it, and we automatically get the bowl where the guacamole will be. We can right-click it now, current state to object, delete this, and like we did before, we'll use a tag. So go to simulate cloth surface. We'll place lathe inside cloth surface, and remember now to set a thickness to it. Like for example 10 or 8. We'll lower the subdivision to 0, and this way we get the dish inside of which the guacamole will be. We're going to move these axes up here. We'll lower the bowl, and we'll place it here more or less. Now click on the primitives, disk, and we'll place it inside the bowl we created. Okay, we can use the top view so it's easier. We can make it bigger and adjust it properly. There it is. Back to the normal view to finish adjusting. Okay. We'll lower the segments number. It's not really necessary to have this many, obviously. So we'll set these segments to 4 and rotation segments to 10. We'll make it editable, and we'll select the points and raise them. We go to select, loop selection, and we'll raise these points and also the one in the center. We can do this selecting either the points or the edges. Always using loop selection, and we'll be able to modify these with no hassle, okay? We can even detach the panel so it's easier. Okay, so we keep creating this little mountain, which will end up in a slight point, like this, and it will be the base of the guacamole. Carefully hide the inner part now inside the pot. Alright, we'll make in this case another cube, and this will be just a little wooden piece that will be under the bowl, so it looks more detailed. Let's select the cube and put some segments on it. For example, 3, 1, and 3. We make this editable and we grab these points here in the center to scale them up using the T key. If we scale them like this, we'll see that we also lose the shape in the y-axis. So to avoid this, we can just uncheck the y here. So now we scale it, we just scale it in the x and z axis. Alright? Let's select these points in the center. Disabling this option to select the ones below too. And we'll scale this up to finish editing up. Okay? Like this. And this a bit higher. Okay, good. Now we'll make the nachos, and for this we made, as you can see, a polygon, not a plane. We make this editable, and we select the points of one of the corners and the same. We'll scale them with the Y option disabled, like this. And we'll right click these 2 points and select Weld. Okay. With this, we'll click in the middle and the 2 points join. We'll get the nacho, and we'll do as we did before. We'll place it inside a class surface tag. We place the polygon inside, and we set a thickness. Like this. Remove the subdivisions, and we set a very low thickness, 1 for example. Now right click, current state to object. We delete this, and we get the nacho here alone. If we now place 1 or 2 of these over it, let's rotate it. And now we place it as we like. Now we duplicate it 1 more time, and we'll place it in this side, so it has more detail. I'll fast forward this part and we'll continue right after. Well, as you see, I placed these nachos forming a fan, but you can place them as you like. The next step is to make some of the parts of a lime or a lemon. So for this, we'll just use a cylinder. This will be very easy. Let's select the cylinder. We'll lower the rotation segments. For example, 10. We'll make it smaller. And that's it. This will be enough. We scale it, and we'll place these lemon slices around here. One around here. And the other one beside it. With only one, it's enough. Okay? For now. Kind of like this. Okay, so we have all of these quite finished yet. Let's save the scene. And we'll finish this part of the course here. So in the next lesson, we'll finish modeling and start with coloring. So see you in a bit.